I watched Tell Me Lies, and this is what I thought. So if you have not heard about this show, here is what it's about. So this group of friends come together for a special event. Some of them have not seen each other in years, but the focus seems to be primarily on two people, and that is Lucy and Steven. We then go back to when this group was in college, and we see what kind of events have happened to affect the rest of their lives. So yeah, it's kind of a flashback type of thing. We get a little bit in the present tense, but mostly it's flashback to their college years. Relationships are tested in this show, and there's a lot of not great type of relationship dynamics, friendships, a lot of toxicity within the season between certain people, but it does bring all the drama. So if you haven't seen this show, definitely go check it out, because now we'll be getting into spoiler territory. Okay, so as I mentioned before, a group of people, they come together, and it is actually for a wedding. And a lot of them haven't seen each other for a while. So it's kind of like a little reunion, and it seems like seeing each other brings up a lot of memories from college. So the show goes back or flashes back to when they are in college after they kind of see each other for a while. And our main girls are Lucy, Bree, and Pippa. They are all college freshmen. And then our three main guys are Steven, Wrigley, and Evan. And they are not freshmen, they have been there already, but these group of guys kind of mix with these group of girls. So very soon into freshman year, Lucy's roommate, Macy, ends up getting in a car accident and she ends up dying. This is the event that kind of affects everyone's lives, and it's kind of like a domino effect from when her accident happened. As the show goes on, we learn more about Macy's accident. Wrigley's brother, Drew, was actually driving on the road while Macy was, and he kind of swerved, and both cars ended up swerving to avoid each other, and Macy's car was the one that ended up crashing. But one thing that happened was that Drew never stopped the car to see if she was okay. He just kept on driving. So he ends up telling his brother Wrigley this, and then they both decide to tell Steven because they trust him and they think he's the right person that will help them decipher what they should do, and they all keep it between themselves. What we learn later is that Steven was there as well, and he ends up telling Lucy about it. Because of what he showed throughout the season, I didn't believe him, or I didn't believe 100% what he was saying. Steven does things for his benefit and only to benefit Steven. So eventually we actually find out what happened that night. Watching the show, my least favorite characters were Steven and Lucy. I really think I just don't like Lucy with Steven, and that's probably why they're both my least favorite. But let's talk about Steven. I can't remember the last time I hated the character so much. And honestly, I credit the actor for making me hate your character so much. You did your job. Everything that Steven did, well, you did your job. Like, great acting skills. Who wrote this character? Amazing. Like, that was the point, I feel like, for people to not like Steven. And everything that Steven did was to benefit himself. So in the beginning, we learn that Steven is not the best guy. His previous girlfriend, he actually cheated on her, and him and his girlfriend were kind of on again, off again. And I honestly don't know what the appeal this man has, but he keeps getting all the girls. All the girls want Steven. But then he ends up sleeping with Lucy and his ex at the same time. And Lucy kind of knows he may be sleeping with someone else, but she's trying to figure out a way like what she can do to keep him. So he's been sleeping with his ex-girlfriend, and she's kind of willing to give him a second chance because she really just does have feelings for him and cares about him. So she's willing to try this again. And then he's currently sleeping with Lucy as well, even though they're not like official. She wants there to be more, and she kind of believes like there is someone else, but she doesn't have 100% proof, but she's like, okay, there's someone else, but I want him to choose me. But get this, Steven gets on my nerves. So he can sleep with as many girls as he would like, and he can also cheat. But then when he finds out, and he finds a way to excuse his behavior at all times, but then he finds out that his ex slept with Wrigley when we even weren't together, like they weren't a couple. And he says like, he can't be around her, I just see Wrigley when I see you. And I'm like, are you serious? You literally cheated on this girl, and I can understand she's up with your friend, but y'all were not even together, and you didn't even know until now. I was like, I can't with this man. And he kind of finds out when him and Lucy are together that she was with a guy over break, and he gets upset about that. And I'm just like, so Steven can be with whoever he wants, whenever he wants, but like the woman he's with, he's just like has a problem if they're with guys when they're not with him, like they're not officially in a relationship with him. He's like, no, I don't like that. So another reason why I don't like his character. So at first I'm like, okay, maybe he's just like this with women and people he's in a relationship with. He's just manipulative. But it turns out he was like doing it with his friends too. And he was doing it with Wrigley. Supposedly he's friends with Wrigley, but then the way he treats and talks about Wrigley behind his back, or like kind of like a type of jealousy and disgust at him sometimes. You say this dude is your best friend, but you're not acting like it. I also think that when he found out that Wrigley had slept with his ex, he wanted to hurt Wrigley even more. I initially thought it was just some jealousy. And then I think when he found out about Wrigley and his ex, he was like, he wanted to hurt him. So he did end up starting to poke cracks in his current relationship with Pippa. And he also told Wrigley's brother, Drew, that Wrigley told Pippa about the accident when they all decided that they weren't going to tell anyone. But of course, Steven happened to leave out the fact that he told Lucy. But, we're not going to talk about that. But of course, Steven only does things to benefit Steven, and he wanted to drive a wedge between Wrigley and his brother. And I think the closer you are to Steven, the more you can't tell how manipulative or even toxic that this man is. So maybe Lucy can see some red flags to an extent, but her friends really see this man as like a toxic guy, and they're trying to talk to her about him. They're like, girl, like, I don't think you should be with him. I don't think that he's not treating you how you deserve to be treated. Like, they're really trying to get in her head. You need to be careful around this man. But she's in this Steven bubble and wants to be with him. Between Lucy and Steven, they do have times in their relationship when there are lows, when they're arguing, when she's like, I don't trust you, this, that, and the other thing. And Steven does feel like he is losing her. And so try to get her back and for her to stay with him, he tells her a piece of the truth about Macy's accident. So he told her, like I mentioned before, that he was there. And as soon as he told Lucy, I was literally like, dude, I don't think that was the right choice. Like, out of all the people you could tell, I don't think Lucy's the one you need to be telling. But I also said, I bet he's not telling her the whole truth. And what do you know? I was right. So in the last episode of the season, we find out what really happens to Macy. So Macy and Steven kind of had a thing going on. They were just kind of friends with benefits. They weren't really together. Macy was at a party, Steven comes and joins her, and they're both kind of under the influence and decide to drive home. And the one who's actually behind the wheel is Steven. Macy said, like, I'm too gone. I really don't think I can drive. And Steven's like, okay, I'll do it. And they're like, they're thinking it's a short drive. It won't be too bad. So while they're driving, they're kind of arguing and kind of about their relationship, and Steven talking to Lucy, and then he doesn't see the other car, which we know now is Drew's car, and both cars swerve to avoid each other, and then they end up hitting a tree. Steven, he kind of wakes up from the accident, sees Macy, checks to see she's okay, realizes she's not, that she's gone, and then he's freaking out, but he moves her to the driver's seat, and then he left the scene of the crime. And add another reason why I don't like his character. But in the season, we see like this accident did affect him. It's not like he does not have any type of emotion. It did affect him. He goes back to the scene of the crime and he does visit it, and he is very emotional because of what happened. And I think he did care about Macy, maybe not as a girlfriend, but he did care about her, and he was there when she lost her life. So that does take a toll on someone. But as we're going through this crazy season, Steven decides to go out with a bang. So in the last episode of our first season, Lucy and Steven, they go to a party together. So at this point, they are officially in a relationship, and they're kind of making plans for the summer. And Steven was supposed to get an internship but didn't get it, so he was going to do something else for the summer. Lucy was supposed to go abroad and travel for a little bit, and she decides not to do that. She's going to stay home. And everyone is asking her, why are you not going abroad anymore? Why are you not going abroad? Why are you? She's like, I think I'm going to stay home. I'm going to push it another year. But everyone, when they ask her, you can kind of tell it's because Steven is going to be here and they're in a relationship. And everyone's like, ooh, girl, we don't, everyone's thinking it, but no one's really saying it. So at the party, we see Steven's ex-girlfriend, and they're talking, and she asks him, I'm just surprised. They're talking, and they're kind of talking about Lucy too, and how like Lucy's staying and she's just going to be around Steven all the time. Like, you're a guy that, someone driven, you deserve someone else who's driven. And she convinces him, and they decide to leave the party together, holding hands in front of everybody, even Lucy. Crazy. And I'm like, Steven. I guess I was a little shocked, but also not shocked. And honestly, we all saw it coming. And his ex can get him an internship in her father's company. So he chose his career over his relationship. Let's be honest. He was like, I'm trying to do something better for life, and being here, not having the internship with Lucy is not gonna cut it. So he's like, I'm gonna go with this girl where I can get guarantee an internship in the field I want to be in. So I felt really bad for her in that scene because it was literally in front of everybody. He had absolutely no shame. Like, neither one of them had shame. It was so sad. So after that, Lucy's like, she just wants to party and kind of forget about the night. And one of the guys, who's Bree's boyfriend, is there. First, we see them together drinking, and then the next scene we see is that they're in bed together. And I was like, girl, no, you didn't. And him too. I was like, oh no. And I love Bree. I think she's a sweetheart. So we have that to unpack in the next season to see what happens with that. But then after the whole last kind of like day party of the college years, we go back to the present where we're at the wedding, and Lucy and Steven kind of finally meet each other again after all this time. And it looks like he has a fiance, and that fiance was not his ex that he left the party with. This fiance is one of Lucy's friends from high school. And I was like, are you serious? Like, how did that even happen? And so when Lucy sees her, they hug, and as she's hugging her, Steven has this look in his face, and it was like, the look kind of looked like he was trying to get a reaction out of Lucy. He's like, how are you going to react now that I'm a fiance with your high school best friend? I'm like, dude, this is crazy. Like, this guy is still the same and wants to make Lucy react to certain actions he has made. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. Like, I'm like, leave this girl alone. Just leave her alone. Let her be. Why are you trying to stay connected to her? And even though I do not like Steven, but it was those little moments that I think made his character who he is. And just that little look when she was hugging her friend, like he was saying, like, how do you feel? Like, it was crazy. And again, I want to commend the actor for like just those little things that kind of completed Steven's character and made him who he is, because I think those added to how kind of not a great guy he is. But it was just like, I don't like him, but it was crazy to see like, those little looks he would do that added to the scene and his character even more, that made you like, oh, this guy is not good, girl, you need to get away from this man. I actually ended up starting this show last year, and it's not even a lot of episodes, it's only a few, but I had to stop because I was so annoyed at this man, so annoyed at Steven. I was like, I can't take it, because I was like, I know Steven and Lucy, something's gonna happen, and this girl's just gonna keep going back to him, and I don't want to watch it. So finally this year I decided to finish the show, and I'm glad I did. It was very good. Did I continue to hate Steven? Yes, I did. But I really do enjoy this show. I would give it 3.5 stars. It was so good, and I'm interested to see what happens in the next season. If you have seen Tell Me Lies, what did you think? Did you like it? Did you not like it? How did you feel about Steven? How did you feel about Lucy? Because I have a lot of opinions on them. But you can definitely catch this show on Hulu, and it does have a second season as well, so you can go check that out as well. I'll be going to watch that very soon. Feel free to check out more content. I'll leave my website down below. You can also check me out on my socials at @ATS_MGO. And I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, week, month, and hopefully a good rest of your year. And until next time, bye.